Hello, and welcome to Review Boxing. Review Boxing is where I take a random 5-star review and a random 1-star review from the same show or movie and put them up against each other to see which one is able to withstand its own argument. It's important to note that I put my biases to the side when making these. I am just trying to review each comment on an analytical level, as well as taking this as an opportunity to widen my perspective for the TV show or movie that I am taking a look at. Without much else to say, let's get right into it. So in front of me I have a pile of cutout 5-star reviews and a pile of 1-star reviews, which I will display on the screen once I have selected them. I have not seen any of these ahead of time, they were randomly selected, so I will be reacting authentically to both, and because it is truly random, I have not arranged them in any specific order to be biased towards either side. Alrighty, round 1. So right off the bat, there is the noticeable difference of the size of each comment. Just because one is larger doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be better. However, normally when something has more writing to it, it often gives itself a little bit more support because it has more writing. So let's take a look at the 5-star review first. As someone who has played League of Legends but was never good at it, I always found myself drawn to the lore Riot created. I like to read the bios and stories of the champions and read about where they came from. To me, it always seemed like the team put a lot of work into world building, but that the work was often unseen or overlooked, with hundreds if not thousands of pages of lore on their website being unread by the average player. With that said, the story of Runeterra and her inhabitants was never a key component of League of Legends' central gameplay, so it was nice to see that the work that the people of Riot took to create the world of League of Legends is being seen and recognized. The art and story of Arcane so far appears to be masterfully crafted, giving players and non-players the opportunity to experience the world in a more fleshed out way. I look forward to seeing the story of Arcane to its fruition and think it has the potential to deliver something great. As for future Riot productions, I anticipate that the next settings would be Noxus and Demacia. Oh my fuck. I anticipate that the next settings would be Noxus and Demacia. And sorry if I said those wrong. And now to take a quick look at the 1-star review, we have the AVJ. Unfortunately, people are easily fooled by the Borderlands style graphics, but this is just another storyless Netflix mess. Stopped watching somewhere at episode 5 or something. 1 out of 10. Okay, so here are a few of my first initial thoughts and questions. In regards to the 1-star review, I wasn't quite sure what the AVJ meant. However, when looking at the person's name, Andrea Van, I'm not even gonna try. It seems like it might be their initials, the AVJ, meaning like their opinion. Not quite sure. I just think it's a little odd to refer to yourself that way. However, if AVJ does not mean that, then I'm also not quite sure. I was right though about the assumption of the difference in text size being something that ended up being kind of important, because the 1-star review just states that it's storyless without actually giving anything to support that. Also, I thought it was interesting that the 1-star review compared the graphics in Arcane to Borderlands, because I would say the styles are very different. They're animated, yeah, but I think that Borderlands heavily leaned into the comic book style slightly more. They had those black outlines and that sketchiness to their art, whereas Arcane went for a really smooth 3D rendition of animation with 2D elements added in. Now, in thinking about how to compare these two comments, it's actually very interesting because they address two very different points. The 5-star review is talking in large about League of Legends, whereas the 1-star review is focusing a bit more on just the show. My main concern that is putting the 1-star review below the 5-star review is the fact that they openly admit that they stopped watching somewhere at episode 5 or something. They aren't even quite sure. And then if we take a look at the 5-star review, we see that the person has a deep appreciation for what exactly made them enjoy the show. For them, it was the fact that the lore really had a chance to shine, and that they also believed it gave everybody a chance to take a look at something they felt was underappreciated. So in regards to this round here, I think the 5-star is going to take it only because they were more exact with what they were referring to. And also the 1-star review inaccurately compares Arcane's art style to Borderlands' art style, which are very different, and did not finish watching the series, and therefore their argument is not as strong. Even though the 5-star review wasn't too specific about the show itself in regards to what might have made it really great, I do think it was fleshed out with more coherency. Okay, round 2. For our 1-star review, we have, while the animation and voice acting of this show were spectacular, they were wasted on this show. Slowly paced and unsatisfying to the end. There is no progression per episode, and the show is a waste of time. And then to our 5-star review, we have absolutely fantastic show. I went into the series being a fan of League of Legends and being familiar with the high quality of Riot's short cinematics and music videos. My expectations were really high, and yet they were still blown out of the water. The characters and the world they inhabit are so well fleshed out and gritty. The visuals are gorgeous, and the show really pulls some heart-wrenching emotional gut punches. The best part is that this show should really connect even to people completely unfamiliar with the original IP, since it doesn't rely at all on previously held knowledge to help tell a compelling story. And it even has some Easter eggs for viewers that are fans. I've never written a Google review before, and I probably never will again, but I had to because Arcane is just so damn good. Well, I am glad that I accidentally snipped yours, being that it will be probably your only Google review. And I immediately off the bat can say that your review was substantiated by a lot of specific claims that help your review hold its weight over the 1-star review. Because the 1-star review tries to substantiate itself by saying it is slow-paced and that there is no progression, which would be good facts to have to support a 1-star review if they were true. Also to note, slow pacing in and of itself is not necessarily a bad thing. Slow pacing can often fit the tone of the show or movie that it is alongside of. However, this show is not slow paced in regards to it is constantly switching between storylines of different characters, and some of the Arcane fans that even really like this show have even sometimes made comments about how they wish there was a little bit more time in between story beats to get a little bit more detail. So slow paced, no. And then unfortunately, the comment about there being no progression quite literally doesn't make any objective sense, because if you were to take out everything in between and you start at episode 1 and then you start at episode 9, we have a very clear difference of where we are at in the story. So there is no logical way that we could have not had progression, given that we are at different places with all of the characters. Again, if these were valid critiques that it was slow-paced and therefore unsatisfying, or that there was no progression, your review might actually have a chance, but because they are not objectively true, the winner of round 2 will be going to the 5-star review. They make a very clear argument to why someone who is unfamiliar with League would still enjoy it, and they also make an argument for why League fans would also enjoy it. So, good job, Franklin. For your only Google review, you seem to do a pretty darn good job. On to round 3. The 1-star review reads, "Ignore all of the haters. As a non-League player, this is genuinely one of the best shows on right now. Watch it." Okay, so I think I'm going to repick from the pile just because it seems like there was a hidden 5-star review amongst the 1-star reviews. So our actual 1-star review will be, I hate how they changed the lore and characters' personality. Art-wise and action, it's awesome. But story-wise, it hurts to see them ruin Jinx, one of the best characters ever. And now onto our 5-star review. This one is quite lengthy, so bear with me here. An emotional, epic masterpiece. Everything from the organic, fluent animation, the stunning visuals, the amazing characters, and fantastically written story. Arcane is truly one of a kind. As a lore junkie myself, going into this, I was concerned, oh, this is perfect. I'm so sorry to interrupt my speaking because I know sometimes people don't enjoy that, but it looks like we actually have comments here that are pinned up against each other that are expressing the same concern. The 1-star review is unhappy with how the lore was changed and how the characters were different than in the lore. So when we continue to read this 5-star review, let's hope that they get into how the lore was actually followed through, or wasn't, and then we can compare the two appropriately. Sorry, it's little things like this that make me happy. Okay, as a lore junkie myself, going into this, I was concerned that the importance of many of the events in this series would completely fly over many casual viewers' heads or be undermined for the sake of the story because of League's intricate universe. But boy, was I proven wrong. There is a perfect blend of both new and familiar faces, which makes the story exciting to watch. Even for lore nerds. There are tons of little Easter eggs scattered all over the show, which really displays Riot's love for their universe. The expedition is never forced or dragged out by long, boring monologues. It is subtly communicated throughout the show, both visually and verbally. Never once was it jarring or annoying, which is incredible and truly displays the masterful storytelling done by the writers at Riot. As for the characters, there wasn't a single boring personality in the entire 9 episodes. Every character is distinct and comes off as real and human with their own set of challenges and victories. The 16+ rating also laid pathways for a more gritty and realistic depiction, which I absolutely loved. On the flip side, Arcane is a bit of a slow burner. The pace is steady, and it takes time for events to unfold, which some viewers might find boring, although it can easily be overlooked when you are truly invested in the story. I personally found great joy out of the small moments and the discreet interactions between some of the characters. Arcane truly blew it out of the park for me. I would definitely recommend it to everyone. I very quickly am starting to realize that this video I am making might come across as me not being analytically unbiased. However, I really am trying. It just seems very clear after each one of these who the winner is, and there is a trend of the 5-star reviews being very detailed in what specifically makes the show worth watching, whereas the people leaving 1-star reviews are being very vague. However, we do have in this 1-star review that they hate how the lore was changed and the character's personality. Someone who doesn't know a ton of lore myself, I can't speak on this too much. However, we fortunately got a comment on the 5-star review side that rebuttals against this pretty well, because they are someone who is a lore junkie and they felt that they were nervous for the same thing but were proven wrong, that they were happy with how the lore was portrayed, both for League fans and also for people who weren't familiar with it. So I guess it's just one person's word up against another, and I am terribly sorry that I haven't gotten a chance to explore the lore too much. I've gotten a lot of really great recommendations on where to check out the lore, and I am extremely excited to start diving into it because it is quite interesting, and I'm excited for season 2, so learning some of the lore will be fun. But back to the reviews, I do appreciate that in the 1-star review that the person says art-wise and action, it is awesome, but that makes me a little concerned about how you still would give it a 1-star review, because art and action, I would hope, would still have some important weight, especially considering how much went into the art style alone for this show. Maybe a 2-star review would be more appropriate for you. And then also in regards to ruining Jinx, from everything I have come across in terms of Jinx's lore and her character, it seems like Jinx is the pillar for a lot of Riot's decisions. Jinx feels like the character Riot really wanted to flesh out the most. So it's interesting because having watched the behind the scenes part 1 of how they made Arcane, Riot specifically accomplished capturing Jinx in the way that they see her. So objectively, if that's how the people that created her see her, it seems like maybe they ruined Jinx from your previous perspective. However, once again, I haven't read too deep into the lore, so if you guys know something about Jinx's lore that they did change, I'd really be interested to know. But overall, this one is gonna have to go to the 5-star review. Round 4. So once again, just looking at the two that I just pulled, one is substantially shorter than the other. And it's not necessarily that that's a bad thing, but we have noticed a trend. Let's start off with the 5-star review. This was, without a doubt, the best show I have ever seen. Went into the show completely blind, having never delved into League of Legends at all prior to watching, and I was absolutely blown away. Every character had a stance I could sympathize with and understand. The emotional beats were the most realistic I have ever seen in a show. The ugly cry scene just made it hit so much harder. The plot and subplots all connected beautifully while still remaining independent of one another, and, other than intentional cliffhangers, there were no plot holes left unanswered. I was constantly on the edge of my seat. Each player's growth or descent to chaos, in some cases, was masterfully done and very believable, and was shown in such a way that I was really able to understand the character in their position. The animation was absolutely stunning. I couldn't take my eyes off it. I was constantly finding new details to appreciate. The soundtrack was amazing, never failing to hype me up for the big scenes. And as a perfect cherry on top, we got some absolutely amazing representation in this show, and every character's design was beautiful. Can't wait for season 2. I don't care if you play League or not, please watch this masterpiece of a show. You will not regret it, I promise. Alright, so this review is giving us some very specific things in which Wyatt thinks it's good to watch. It says that there were no plot holes and that if it was left out, it was left out as a cliffhanger. It says that each character was something that was humanized and believable. Let's take a look at the 1-star review. The ending is so disappointing. Like, come on, how are you gonna have a nuke hit a building without an explosion? Okay. I'm debating whether or not this might be a troll, like a meme. I thought it was very clear at the end of the episode, in episode 9, that the missile did not actually hit the building yet, and that will be the scene we will most likely be starting off with in season 2. So once again, if this were a factual support for why you didn't like it, I'm not sure if it's a nuke. I think it's just a very large missile. It is possible it could be a nuke. A nuke would be a lot more alarming if it is a nuke, because it probably won't just blow up the building, it will blow up a lot more than the building. Even if you did find the ending disappointing, it's not enough to justify a 1-star review. I think if we use 5 and 1-star reviews very loosely, then they stop really holding the meaning that we need it to. And I've been pretty happy so far seeing the 5-star reviews know that they're giving a 5-star review. 5-star and 1-star, like I said, should be held for those that really do something outstanding and deserve recognition. And the 1-star should be those shows or movies that particularly did something that made it fail. And the 1-star reviews like this one, giving us just one thing that they think was wrong and also being wrong with it, is not enough to justify the 1-star. So once again, I swear I'm not being biased, the 5-star review takes it on this one. Alright, our last round, round 5. Immediately upon pulling these, they are not too different in size, so I'm excited to see if they are worthy competitors. Let's start off with our 1-star review. Personally, I don't like the style of animation, and it feels more like a high-quality fan-made film that belongs on YouTube. Hey, what's wrong with YouTube? I absolutely believe that the video game aesthetic ruins the show. I would almost rather watch CoComelon or some teenage girl show like The Vampire Diaries than this garbage. I'm sorry, I can't get over the CoComelon. Once again, I'm debating whether or not this might be a meme. I often accidentally fall prone to trolls because I just try to take people seriously, but maybe not. So let's read the 5-star review and see how they compare. Been a casual League of Legends player since 2015, so my feelings might be a tiny bit biased. Then again, I'm the type of person to nitpick on very little things when it comes to anything at all. This show was nothing short of perfect. Everything was executed well in the show, and for years I've been waiting for them to make a movie of some sort based off the lore and wide universe of League. This series really exceeded my expectations, which were already through the roof. Love it. From start to finish, it was all a treat to watch. I don't think I've watched any series that got it right the way Arcane did. From soundtracks all the way down to animation. 10 out of 10, worth the watch. Alright, so I can appreciate in the 5-star review that the person did let the reader know that they potentially have a bias since they've been playing League. But they also went on to talk about how they tend to be very nitpicky. So they made us aware of their potential biases or non-biases. They weren't very specific in what they thought made the show perfect. They did say the soundtrack and everything through to the animation. Now, it's interesting because the person in the 5-star review loved the animation, whereas the person in the 1-star review does not personally enjoy the style of animation. And I can appreciate, once again, in the 1-star review, that they use the word personally, because when you're trying to make an argument and conveying to other people by leaving 1-star review as to why they shouldn't watch it, saying something is objective, like the other people kind of did, where they said the animation is bad, versus personally, I don't like the animation, it comes across as a lot more of a respectable review. And then they said it feels like a high-quality fan-made film that belongs on YouTube. There's some pretty good ones out there, just to be fair to the fans. But then again, it also does not look like a fan-made YouTube video. I think that's quite upsetting to a lot of the artists that worked on this animation. No offense, again, to the fan-made films on YouTube, because those can be quite good, but Arcane has such a unique animation style, and they executed every frame with such a vision and precision in mind that comparing the two aren't quite fair. Then also in the 1-star review, they say how the video game aesthetic ruins the show. I do think they had a little bit of a video game aesthetic in the fight scene between Savika and Vi, or maybe when Jace and Vi are fighting, but not really too much of it. I mean, it is based off of League of Legends, which is a video game, so I think having a sprinkle of a video game aesthetic in there feels appropriate. However, I don't think it's soaking in video game aesthetic. The show just has a hint of it because of its origins. And if you personally don't enjoy that, that's completely fine. And then the last part about you'd rather watch Cocomelon, so that just cracks me up. If I wanted to give any of the 1-star reviews a win out of these 5 rounds, I would probably give it to this one, just because they were honest that it was their opinion, and I can really appreciate that. However, the 5-star review here still would take it because they were slightly more specific with what they thought was executed well. They were quite close, or not super close, but these were the closest matchup so far. Alrighty, so those were all 5 rounds of my boxing review video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you disagree, please let me know, or if you think it really seems like this time around, the 5-star reviews all really took it home. Thanks again so much for watching, and if you have any other TV shows or movies that you would like to see me do this with, put them into the rink. I would love to do that. Just leave a comment below. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and once again, thanks for watching.